Yo, what's up, guys? It's Talon. Today we're going to be coaching a master currently who is a Grandmaster Peak Shyvana and Lilia player. The first game is really going to be kind of discussing how to come back in games and how to really choose your moments for when you want to kind of make your play and play sort of these scaling champions. And the second game is going to talk about how to avoid throws and sort of snowball a game when you do have an early game that goes better. So if you guys are interested in watching that, obviously stay tuned for the video. And then quickly, if you're interested in coaching for just $15 an hour, just DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or to the link in the description to join my Discord server, and then DM me there as well. I'm a rank 5 sovereign autofill player, so I feel like I can provide you guys some value. And then if you want access to all of my notes of coaching from over a year ago, even every single coaching that I've done, for the most part, I have memberships on my channel now, and if you do subscribe to my memberships, which is just $5 a month, then you will get access to all of my coaching. Just DM me on Discord for that if you do sign up to the memberships, and you can look through there's about 38 pages of notes that I have that you guys can look over anytime you want if you just do the membership. So that's another new thing. Link in the description to join that as well. And let's get right into the video. So Shyvana is typically the champ you're playing, or?
Yeah, Shyvana, like farming type champs in general, but Shyvana has been a long time main. As well as I did a Lilia VOD because I do want to get better with her because I think she's stronger than Shyvana.
Yeah, and then what rank is this as well?
Yeah.
Just
Masters.
Okay, got it. And then what's your
Master
peak?
10. Peak GM in season 3.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I've just been going for Masters since then, really, because I just don't play it as much as I used to.
So what is the goal then? With, like,
the goal is Challenger.
Okay.
For this season. So you go as ruthless as you want. You don't need me to say this, but just go as crazy as you want.
Of course,
as honest as whatever.
I'm assuming since you say you're like a farming focused player, I'd assume efficiency is probably one of the things you're more focused on. Like a lot of times when I coach players, this is more the issue. So now I'm like we'll see. I mean, everything so far obviously seems fine, but playing Shyvana full clearing is a pretty straightforward process usually.
Sure.
So
for sure. I backed it up because I realized I skipped this little part. So yeah.
I mean, there's nothing really wrong with like what goes on here. I mean, obviously, like they end up coming, but you tried to get Scuttle with level advantage, and then you lose Slash. Like, there's nothing really bad about that either.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's always a glitch with Mordekaiser's health bar does not show up.
I've noticed that. It's weird.
Really weird. Yeah.
It happens in the Lilia VOD too. I don't know if Mord was even in that game, but
maybe
the
just
health
a
bar is just
separate
gone.
thing. Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will just skip through the early unless we see something specific. Since it's
for sure.
But even here, the smaller thing that I like to do that is not necessarily don't have to do it is that I like starting red buff, because if I start red buff, especially on like full clearing champs who have decent clear speeds like Shyvana, the rest of your camps will spawn in quicker succession, and it makes it harder for the enemy to invade you. Like it takes 2 minutes and 30 seconds roughly for a buff to respawn, and 150 for small camps. And so when you do it like this, you can see how much longer it's taking. Like your Krugs are already up for a while, so hypothetically, if you have a hard losing lane, it's easier to get invaded if you end up spending more time there. And then also you can just come a lot quicker to clear them all at once rather than them kind of respawning at a different time. Then a lot of times you end up having to like go back and clear them again. That's a very like small thing that usually doesn't impact like the actual game, but it's something that I still try to do. Like even here, go ahead.
I do like that actually. I guess I tried doing red first, so then Krugs, and just the way you do it usually.
Yeah.
I guess the main difference is instead of getting to blue buff by like 118, I get there by like Scuttle spawning. And even then, my level advantage on a Shyvana specifically, it doesn't even matter because I won't have ult either way.
Yeah, so you're not usually fighting it.
Yeah.
Krugs definitely is like the benefit of Krugs, which is why I don't like say that you have to do this, is because you do get to the first Scuttle faster. So if your goal is really to contest it, so I would say, for example, if you expect enemy might start blue buff, like Mordekaiser, it's not that surprising that he started blue buff. You could do Krugs first because it's more likely that you get contested on that. But if you're like, either you have guaranteed information or you're just pretty sure based on whatever factors, or you just think you don't really care about fighting Scuttles. For example, if you have a losing top side and mid side, then you're probably not going to contest Scuttle unless it's a free Scuttle because you don't have prio anyways. So like those are the situations where starting red's going to be slightly more efficient as well. And like you're not really going to contest Scuttle unless it's free anyways. So
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, early game obviously Shyvana generally, again, we're just
it's pretty
farming,
whatever.
so we'll see specifically what goes on. But
a few decisions on fights.
The thing is, you are matched here, and you should know that because we saw him on first scuttle on the same scuttle as us.
Yeah,
and so
I
like
get railed here.
I don't see the scoreboard obviously, so I can't tell exactly who's like strongest or who's weaker.
Yeah.
But generally, since you know you're being contested on him, like walking up kind of without like if we look at the sort of like lanes here, walking through here, I guess you're trying to go for a dive. I feel like it probably makes more sense to go through lane and then try to gank through there, but it's not a huge thing because again we would know Mordekaiser would be there. So like he might be able to isolate us and try to kill us, but that's also like a pretty small thing. So
true, I didn't think about that. Yep.
Yeah, we had probably an angle to try to look for it. Like we maybe want to try to dive Isa, but also diving is hard because we are matched, like we said, and we didn't have prio really, and our laners were lower, so that's kind of why this turns out bad. So I guess that's the first major thing is we should be aware of where enemy jungle is, and then again, I'm not sure who's stronger or weaker, but I'd probably rather be playing for Herald side as well because Shyvana cares. I know that Shyvana gets like the addition. I think she gets still more from her passive.
Yeah,
from
it's
Dragons.
35 for Drake and 15 for Heralds.
Yeah, so I know it's a bigger deal in that sense, but to me, still getting the like Herald buff or the Herald gold when you're going to be contested on Dragon, most likely because again of like how the pathing was going and the fact that your laners were already low is like a safer option, and getting scaling and getting that gold feels better to me generally. But I don't hate if you did want to contest Dragon again. Most of these things are all, we haven't seen any mistakes where I'm like, that's, you know, a major thing. It's more, if you want to go Dragon, that's fine. Probably should have gone through lane there, just been more aware of the location of Mordekaiser when we had no vision because we did know that he was matching us, but
yeah. Some more farming.
Yeah. That is one thing about jungle, like coaching is different than coaching like lane where there's like a lot of small things to talk about. Unless you're like, you don't know how to farm, there's generally a lot. So again here, at this point, this is kind of, I don't mind you getting the kill if you get a free kill here, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm necessarily going to talk about. But what I do want to at some point try to do is to switch it, like switch the clears where now we're not matched anymore, which you can do in a number of ways. Because we don't want to be matched when we're down 3k gold. We know the way we're probably going to win this game. You're late game scaling Shyvana. You're not that upset about being down early game. But we want to find a way to make it so our clears are opposite of Mordekaiser. That way we can make easier like odd man dives where he's not, you know, on us or whatever. And so the way that I do this is either I'd spend additional time on one side of the map so that all my camps kind of respawn and then I can switch which like side I clear first. So you just look for like a dive or just camp a lane longer and stick in that lane longer, because then you know Mordekaiser is going to start going to the opposite side and you can maybe even get some kills there with your ultimate or something, and that's going to be how you're going to create an advantage and come back. Or if you see Mordekaiser spend too much time and be inefficient on a side of the map, then you continue to clear really quickly so that your other side will start respawning quicker. Does that kind of make sense how you would like
that
make
makes
that
sense.
opposite? So that's sort of what I'm looking to try to do at this point in the game, because we are playing for gold bounties, you know, once they potentially come up, or even just for killing turrets like in the mid game, using probably the second dragon most likely as a distraction to just get additional gold to make us able to come back and like scale up to the late game. Because for Shyvana, I don't know, what's the build you're going as well?
This one is Trinity. I actually started mixing up the build, but this is a Trinity, Sterix, Wits End, Twin Guard.
Yeah, I mean like 3-4 items is when you're like really strong. Like this is kind of a new thing that I've been thinking more about and like paying more attention to items, where it's like, to me, typically on this farming jungler, you should probably be minimum 2 items plus enchant, or like 2.5 items by the time second dragon spawns, and at least 3 if not 4 items on third dragon. And so like that's really the main focus, is getting to that item breakpoint. And if you hit that breakpoint, like you hit 2.5 items or 2 items in an enchant, and that's going to be very strong, then you can contest if you feel like that's the best time for you to carry a fight. But if you feel like, you know, you're not really going to be stronger until 3 items, like for example some games, like if we look here, they're pretty mixed damage. They have kind of both. So Wits End is a lot of value here, but then also having some amount of armor. So you should probably have armor boots, Wits End, getting that Sterix because they have no really good anti-shield builders. You went Mercs this game?
No, I went armor boots,
You went armor boots, okay, sorry. So yeah, having like that, I think to me in this game, 3-item power spike, you're a very strong champion, but 2 items, you're still lacking magic resist, And again, you're already behind, so the Mordekaiser probably just isolates you and one-shots you, as we've kind of seen happen. Like, I think you ended up kind of overstaying on the Mordekaiser after you get the kill on the Camille. I don't think you died there. I don't remember what happened exactly.
No, I think I dodged the Q that would have killed me.
Yeah, but you were kind of like overextending fighting him. We can't really fight him, I feel like, until Wit's End. And so the point is,
I guess
really,
I was kind of just testing my bounds. I was like, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
And I feel like at some point, if you're like if you've played enough Shyvana, you eventually just know the limits. So if you don't know, whether or not you killed there, I don't mind testing it. But to me, again, paying attention to the itemization, since you are behind, you should again be looking really hard towards that 3-item spike and mainly trying to like make our clears switch from him, whereas we're just clearing the same way on him, and so we just keep ending up like in the same side of the map over and over again. Like even here, for example, this might be a good opportunity to do that. Because your bot side's spawning, so his bot side's probably spawning. You could even scroll over to see. So two things you could do. You could either just focus on your gold and go to this bot side, get a couple bot waves since your entire team's top side. But what I think would be the best thing to do is to ignore that and then just go straight top side here. Because another thing that you can do in terms of like when you're deciding where to over camp on a lane, it's if a turret's up. Because if a turret's up, you get a lot more value from that gank rather than here. Even if you killed someone, you just get 300 gold. And so this is a time where I'd be like, okay, Mordekaiser's going to be farming probably. He's not going to be able to get there as quick. Maybe this is a time where I can start turning the game around or getting myself a bit more gold. And even if it doesn't really work out for you, no objectives up, and you don't even really care about losing second dragon because we don't really think we're going to contest it most likely based on how the game's going. And the third dragon's probably, again, with how much our comp scales as well, like the third dragon should be really what we're looking for, and we're just trying to get as strong as possible like for that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas, I think going mid here, he can counter gank us, which is kind of how we can see it's like more problematic.
Yeah, a big thing I held on to from something you said in a video once was, I mean, the game really just leads up to the 18-minute mark.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's why I do like to farm as much as I don't know what the fuck's going on mid. Just farming a lot, I guess, and taking the easy fights. My main issue I feel like is I just make bad decisions sometimes that will just cost the game, like in the mid to late game, and it's just like fuck.
Yeah, I can see that with like how you were fighting Mord randomly, for example. Like since it didn't, it was fine. But even as someone like I've played a little bit of Shyvana, but I haven't played much of her. I know you're never going to kill him there, like no matter what, just based on items, and that's something we should sort of just be aware of. Which I think one of the main things, because I was coaching a different player who was like I think he was like a Grandmaster peak. He was like one of these players who he plays a lot. He's decent at the game, but he's kind of struggling to get to the next level. And one of the biggest things is just he wouldn't ask himself questions in the game. He'd just play on autopilot and he'd play the same way every game. And like to me, the big thing is asking yourself the question in the game: how am I actually going to win this game? What's my actual goal of the game? And as someone, you said you've gotten Grandmaster in season 3, you have experience with the game enough where you can identify probably how you're actually going to win this game. Again, like we were talking about the 3 items, everything should pretty much be going up to that point with how the game's currently going, because our comp scales extremely well, and we spoke about all that. And so that's why even like the decision here for you to hover mid side and then go towards the bot side of the map after didn't really make sense, because again, we know where Mordekaiser is. We're going straight into a Mordekaiser who's up a level on us, who we don't have resist against, and we're just weaker than in terms of itemization. And again, if our goal is to get stronger, well, the fact that this dragon is spawning means that we should immediately be going topside, because again, there is a turret here. What can we get out of that? We can get potentially a wave or 2 as well. Maybe an invade if he ends up, not going for his topside camps as they spawn, because a lot of times people do that to just straight go dragon. They leave their topside camps. You get potentially the 1,000+ gold on your entire like team globally from this turret as well. And so you could get so much value in terms of gold. Probably now, if you made that play, you'd be down. Instead of being down 3.5k, you're probably down like 2k after making that play. Or the enemy come to you, and then a lot of times they're going to be disjointed because of the fact that some people might want to go dragon while other people go topside, and then you create a good play that way. And you can use a lot of pings as well to do that. So, but instead you walk bot side here, which you're also losing out on your blue buff, which is spawning. So even if you did want to contest dragon, probably still could have gone to the blue buff here. And then you can even see how it's kind of happening here, where 2 people are up here, 1 person's bot, Mordekaiser's here. They could be really split up. And if you're spam pinging it, and you're in master right now, like when I spam ping master players to go for these opposite side plays when we're down and we're down a dragon, frequently they will follow. Sure, sometimes like they won't, that happens too, but it's not uncommon that they'll actually listen when I spam ping it, say 45 seconds before a dragon spawns, and they understand my plan. But instead you're playing for a mid turret where frankly this shouldn't have ever worked. Like they should have contested you. The Mordekaiser should be there, or Kaisa should be, someone should be contesting that. And the fact that it worked is nice. but then you're just here trying to sneak a dragon, which there's not a gold bounty on it, so like it's nice that again they set up horribly and somehow it works out, but it just frankly like should not work in this way. And in terms of the contribution to winning or losing the game, it really doesn't do that much for you either compared to what you would get topside. The gold is still relatively like similar, where we got a little bit gold caught up because of the fact that they just completely didn't contest there, but there's like no way that that should realistically happen consistently. Whereas the thing that's going to work every single time, or at least a majority of the time, is contesting the opposite side when you're behind. And so say you were still behind in the scenario, but you hit a really strong item point and you know that the rest of your team is maybe like Lucian, Jace, they're getting outscaled, whatever, then do what you did here. But this isn't your strongest point. Your strongest point is the third dragon, and again, like you said, it's all leading up to the Elder Dragon, and the only thing that matters is them not having soul. Since they already had one dragon, it didn't matter if you get a second dragon. All that matters is that you get one of the three at that point.
Facts.
So. And
I'm surprised. I usually go. I
What's
usually go with Sen second. I'm kind of surprised I went Sterix for second this game.
Yeah, I think Wits is probably good this game specifically. I mean, they're pretty AP.
I think I played against one Shyvana who went like fucking what's that new Hextech item, the blizzard surrounding thing,
Zeke's
defense
conversions.
Yeah, Zeke's. Someone went Zeke second, and I just started experimenting after that because I was like, wow, that seemed really good. So now my builds were just going all over the place.
I think Zeke's into heavy AD can be a good thing there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then again, so let's kind of look at what actually led to this decision, because I don't hate that you're going for an invade because there's nothing that you really lose until you decide to flash, when it's like, then it's like, okay, now we're losing a lot, because you get this, right? You get 150 gold from the invade, you die, you give up 300 gold. That's a 150 gold swing. We have no camps up, there's no objective up. That doesn't really matter to me that you die here, but wasting our flash does make a problem because the Baron's about to spawn in 48 seconds, and now we're not going to have that up for a much more important fight. So I like this invade in terms of what's going on. You don't have prio, you don't have necessarily a high likelihood of it working out, but since you don't have anything else to do, and maybe you're even thinking like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to my next item for that third dragon, so all of this is fine. The problem is when you don't take into account what's actually going to be problematic. The only negative outcome that actually occurs here is if you lose your flash. It really doesn't matter if you die or not, because you're still going to come back and fine. So this is kind of the issue, is that even like you got their ults out, you got all their other things out, that'd be fine, but then losing the flash is really the issue. Obviously flashing when you're Camille ulted, I've done it too, I get it, but yeah, obviously that's also not ideal. But yeah, it does happen. It is. But yeah, again, I don't hate the thought process on the rest of it, and the gold is still relatively like fine despite 5
I'm not sure. Honestly, I didn't see the map save before I went for those Raptors.
Yeah,
but I thought like, okay, fuck it, I clear shit fast, I can just take this and get the fuck out. Suddenly the Avengers are there. It's like, holy shit, I didn't see the, I didn't remember the map state there, but
yeah,
maybe
and
it was
so
obvious.
when I would be more inclined to go for what you did, like in general, would be if my teammates were already pushed. Like your teammates weren't really pushing the waves, they didn't really have control over anything, they were relatively far back, and you were doing it on the side of the map where the objective is. People are more likely to walk towards wherever an objective is spawning. A Baron was spawning soon, so that's another reason that it's more likely to not work out. But again, even with all that, I don't mind you just trying to sneak something because of the fact that Baron still wasn't spawning for a little bit. So
yeah, a little more farming.
Yeah, I mean, coaching jungle is like my favorite to coach because it's the easiest. You can talk about like decisions. Like when I'm coaching like an ADC, I'm like, yeah, you should have like hit your Ezreal Q there. It's it's harder sometimes to be as like a lot of more mechanical based. So I mean, it's like you can just kind of skip through and talk about more of the decisions and everything. So
yeah, no, literally, jungle's mad chill for the most part.
Yeah, until your teammates start flaming you or something.
Yeah, type shit. Oh my god, this was just atrocious.
Okay,
I really thought there would be a fight there.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
like Kaisa got out so fast.
Kaisa does have a lot of mobility. She's kind of invisible, so it's hard to even see what she did. Why is she invisible, dude?
Yeah, she fucking flashed with invis.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing ever to like. Again, these are just types of things that it's not even like necessarily coaching. Obviously, you try to go on her.
Okay. Oh god, this is about to be bad.
Oh, you try to just do it?
Yeah, I saw 2 people bot side.
As long as you get off it once you get spotted, it's fine. See, that's the thing. Once you get spotted, if you get off it, it's fine. It's just the fact that you stayed on it afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like seems slightly like one of the master players, more on the side of a master player I coach who doesn't ask themselves questions in the game more than it's you not understanding things. Because sometimes, you know, there's two types of things. One, I have to explain specific concepts. The other, I just have to tell them to think. And like, frankly, you saw two of your teammates bot side. You saw three of them there, but you saw Mordekaiser. You saw Mordekaiser, their jungler, opposite side, and so you wanted to sneak it real quick because you thought maybe you can get a distraction or you can one shot the Baron because they don't have vision. I don't remember if you swept there. If you swept there and you knew they had no vision, I don't mind you trying to sneak it even when their jungle's opposite side and whatever. But as soon as you get spotted on vision, you need to immediately leave.
Yeah,
and then,
no, 100%.
Yeah, and then like that's really the thing is like, you know, three people are there, you know, nobody else on your team's there. Obviously, you should leave there. And then again, the same thing now. You actually got really like lucky that you got this second dragon. You're still down gold. What's the strongest point? Again, we said it, your team scales. Well, now I can finally see your items, which is nice. But what, we're on Trinity and Wits End.
Is this there?
Huh. You didn't go Sterex.
Okay. No, I didn't go Sterex. Yeah, it's just the order in the end game preview is
that's weird.
Showing that, I guess that is weird.
I think you bought this longsword.
Yeah, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna sell it. I'm just gonna fucking get on Wits right after.
Okay, but anyways, the point is, you're not even 3 items. So if you were 3 items here, if your teammate was here, your teammate's not here, so that's irrelevant now as well. But say your teammate was hypothetically here, and you were 3 items. Okay, fight them. You're gonna be really strong because if you just hit a 3 item, obviously, like if you're 3 items versus enemy, say 3.5 items, that's way better than you being 3.5 versus 4. Because obviously you have the completions. But when you're 2.5 versus they're probably 3.5 to 3, this is the weakest point for you. You're going to be a lot stronger if you wait until you hit to that 3 item spike, which it looks like you're going twin guard. So like you should definitely be just never contesting here, but you go in and ult again. We have our flash up now, but still, even then, like there's no way this is ever going to work. And even if it does work, what's the benefit? There is no benefit. There's not even a gold bounty on the thing. So just going topside with your teammate or invading, there's just a lot of other options to do. So basically, like, because the thing with Shyvana too, you don't care about the game state being 517 down 5k gold. All you need is one fight and you can solo carry it. But going in with your team here obviously just is, again, not a very, like, in terms of, even if it does work out, you get very little from it. Like, even this is like this is one of the best case scenarios that could have happened, and it's still not really positive because you still lose dragon and a lot of your team died. So yeah, we can see items here, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, our Yone is 0-5, so it's kind of fine for him to just be splitting all game. I mean, again, what their jungler, he's 3.5 items and you're 2.5. So again, if he's 3.5 versus 2.5, he's probably not even going to be 4.5 by the time you're able to get 3, and then it's like a better, again, in terms of that. So yeah, just overall in terms of the game, I'm saying in terms of a lot, but
no, you're good.
The game state just doesn't really make sense to be doing what we're doing. And even the previous second dragon contest was very lucky that even worked out, and frankly just the enemy making mistakes. So the main thing is you're going to fall behind on Shyvana more than you're going to be ahead just because of the nature of the champion, and so you need to understand better how to play from behind. Also, nice smite on your teammates. That was good. But
yeah, I'm not letting him get shit.
Yeah. So he's okay. But yeah, we just need to understand how to come back in games, how to play from behind a lot more, which is just being a lot more okay with trading the opposite side. If you don't get the first dragon, which again, I don't mind you trying to contest dragon more often than not as Shyvana, if your laners are doing like relatively fine. But if you're gonna do that and you don't get the first dragon, there's no reason to contest the second dragon if you're not gonna be stronger on second dragon than third dragon. So just think more about itemization, your teammate's location, because as well, again, your Yone was topside, so you're not going to win a 5v4 definitely when you're down gold as well. Think about the location, tracking enemy jungle again as well. Things like he started same side as you, so you should have been more aware of that. And then also trying to like make those the camps eventually on opposite side spawning when you can, so you can make more plays. Like those are like the main things. Again, trading opposite side and being more aware and just kind of thinking about the actual game state and what you can do. I feel like those are the main things so far. We'll see if there's any other things, but at this point, the game is pretty difficult. So
yeah.
And even here, I don't know if you haven't yet hit 3 items and you're like 1 camp from 3 items, maybe it's okay. But you just got spotted on vision. We don't know where the enemy are, and there's 2 of them, and you don't have your flash is coming up, but like. To me, unless this is getting you an item, maybe it's okay to greet it. Otherwise, no reason to greet it. So
gotcha. And he pokes me.
Yeah.
But I'm a greedy bitch who clears fast, so I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah. And again, I don't even mind you looking for it initially. It's more the fact that then you got spotted on vision for it. So like then you should leave because of the little thing. But otherwise, it's whatever. And again, the Baron was spawning, so it's also like if you do die, it's actually punishing, whereas the previous invade, like I said, wasn't really punishing regardless. So if you did die in this situation, it could have been bad.
Yeah. I think I might be on 3.5 items now.
You should be, yeah.
Not sure. Yeah.
But yeah, this is like the strongest point you're going to be at. But typically, probably as a jungler by Elder, you should be 4 items with proper farming, which you can do things like you're farming in terms of your camps. You're clearing your camps when they come up. The problem is you never take opposite side waves again on these situations where you're using Dragon as a distraction because you know you can't contest because you're behind. You get those additional waves. You get the steals from camps, and oftentimes you do get a kill because a lot of times when your top laner showing on that side, one of the enemy try to match, and then you get a 2v1. So it's not infrequent that that happens as well. So a lot of times you should generally be on 4 items by this point, but we're a little bit behind that. We're not super behind that. Again, your efficiency isn't your main issue. Like I can tell that you're pretty aware of that. So.
I just didn't know if we're this one.
So the main thing, like for playing this team fight, I mean, you're going to lose this team fight regardless. I don't really need to pause. The main thing is, it looks like Kai'Sa's the strongest member of the game. That's probably the person you're really caring about. So the main thing is you should wait for Kai'Sa to probably use an ultimate or a flash or something, or at least her third ability, and then go in on her, or just try to tank up for your team. But again, at that point, it's pretty unwinnable. So I'm not necessarily like, doesn't really matter. Regardless. Yeah, we'll go to the other one now.
Same. What do you mean? Sorry.
Same like farming, not probably much to talk about early. We'll see specifically.
Yeah. It's mainly a full clear here.
Because you also have to start blue buff as Lilia on like some other champs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's probably like slightly optimal clearing here, but I don't even worry that much about clearing myself. Like that's only if you're like really trying to.
Yeah, the one nitpicky thing there for me was like I could have done one less auto on the blue if anything, but I don't really know how much more efficient I could have been.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good at Lilia clears yet. I don't really know exactly either. Looking at their comp, I mean the build's pretty normal here too, and they scale pretty insanely well too. Everyone's fully scaling actually. It's kind of crazy. And then you should have popped the thing earlier and prayed that you got small to get faster, but that's the only small thing. I mean, obviously works out, so.
Popped it here for some reason, but I was like, fuck it, I might as well do something with it.
Yeah.
Season's on the way, but I can already get that shit.
I mean, you're insanely strong here, so this is like actually pretty much like the perfect start that could possibly happen.
Actually, yeah. I feel like I could have snowballed this game more. But at the same time, I am facing a Zen.
You really like Electrocute? I don't know about.
I like Zen against. Electrocute against squishies and Conk versus tanks.
I love Phase Rush personally.
Well, Phase Rush is good too, honestly.
I mean, that's again. I'm not gonna like argue about these. If you think Electrocute works better for you, it's not like a bad choice, but that's just more preference thing. Well,
no, I fuck with Phase Rush. I should try it more though, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to counter gank, but I don't mind just instantly farming it first. But again, you could just slow the thing. Like this small chance that the slow actually saves someone's life there. Probably won't, but like, what else are we really gonna use it for? Most likely. So that's a small thing, but looks like actually you can use it here for a possible invade. So I mean, this should, or even a gank here, either way. But
pretty chill.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you spotted him here, so I don't mind like looking for it, especially since you have flash up. Is this where we do something stupid and try to dive him?
No, I don't think so. Oh, well, but he flashed in.
So, I mean, yeah, no.
I think okay, but she goes back in.
Yeah. What is she doing? At least you're still happy though. I mean, you're 3-0, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
It does look like it'll be like a little bit more of a team gap type of game potentially. We'll see this. If we do lose, I don't even know.
No way, I get this. I do get this too. I think I die here though. I don't.
Oh yeah, you get this. I don't hate dying, even if you did die to Mundo. I think that's still fine. But yeah, this is the most perfect early game ever. Like, holy shit. Like, literally everything goes perfect.
Yeah, okay, so it's crazy. It's crazy to see how we lose this.
Okay. I am guessing, maybe I'll be wrong, that you are going to go to your dog shit early game ADC with your dog shit early game support, who are both not ahead in gold, instead of playing around your champion who has an ult up that can lock someone down for free and playing around your mid laner as well, going to the top side where Amundo is way less useful than potentially Jinx getting a reset, which even if she's not the best early game, this to me seems like the most likely potential for loss. And I know you might want to go because you have camps there, but the one time it's okay to deviate from focusing on efficiency on farming champions is when objectives are up. And the dragon and the heralds, again, I just think heralds are way better almost always. Shyvana is one of the few champs you could
agree, actually.
Yeah, Shyvana is one of the few champs you can argue, but yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how I played for Drake so much in these two like VODs in general. Like I don't know.
Shyvana, like I said, kind of makes sense, but when you're doing it on Lilia, definitely shouldn't. Looks like it actually works out still.
Ooh,
yeah, I mean, okay, so I really don't know how you're gonna lose it if you do. And maybe it's just team gap, but we'll see. Either way it works out well. But like I said, still decision making. We see the potential for it going much more wrong than if we go topside there. You just stole your camp. Wow, that's crazy. But either
why
way,
did she do?
Yeah, I don't know. That's wild. She's map packing. We got a reporter.
Yeah, on guard.
Yeah, definitely, that's the main thing. Both games, I think you could have played around different parts of the map. Like I said, the Shyvana one's more arguable. Even here, the fact that you lose this is probably not necessary. Like you probably
I should have went Herald. Like
you probably could just go. You could just recall right away and then go Herald because that's gonna get you in more value. Whereas here, now they get to catch up in gold a lot for free when you're like this strong as well. And I don't hate, like generally speaking, I'm not gonna try to contest 2 objectives. When you're this ahead and you just get kills there, you should just recall right away and then go contest because you're just gonna be able to pretty much freely win. But that's not gonna be a common thing. It's just this specific scenario that's actually good.
I guess I'm just not used to having this amazing of a fucking start. So yeah, I definitely should have went for another Herald though.
I mean, 7k gold is crazy at early game on Lilia.
Fucking 6-0, holy.
I mean, their comp does scale really well. It's not hard to throw into a Jinx, Biggs, Lulu. Like that is realistic to throw into.
Yeah, that's a hard scale. Fucking Lulu is actually racist. I'm not gonna lie. That champ is some fucked up shit. She's racist. Dude, Lulu is a racist champ.
Is that so? I don't know what makes champions racist, but I'll take your word for it.
It's just broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's an insult. You know, I respect it.
Shit.
It's better than people using like things that shouldn't be insults as insults. At least like racist, like that is like a negative thing. So you know, I guess not bad.
You know, I'm a little PC sometimes.
Yeah, I mean everything again. Like we'll see. Something has to go wrong later because I mean even here the fact that you're farming a lane is also really good. Like you're getting yourself even more accelerated. I don't really care that your team dies a little bit there. Like that really doesn't do much for you. And then you should be aware now that we'd have to look at him to be sure. But like the only thing I'm looking at when this is happening is does he have a red circle or a blue circle under him? Because if he doesn't have a red circle under him, I know 100% he's going to go red side. So that's like the one thing to make sure that I have an understanding of where he's going to go next. And then say that I did see no red circle. I know that I can recall after you do this. I ideally just do your blue buff, but whatever. But like after you do blue buff, you can recall, and then you can make a play bot side because you know Xin is going to be top side. So that's kind of, again, the thing where I'm just kind of keeping track of where he is so that I can then make a play on a different side of the map. Because of the fact that you are so strong as well, you can make a bit more risky plays. But either way, if you recall, now you're just, again, like this fight should be fine too. I guess your teammate died, so the main thing might be you want to try to stall for him. And you're not like that upset about losing the dragon either if you do. Because you already have one and you're still scaling, even if they do scale as well. So like you should try to contest it, but you shouldn't be like walking by yourself, for example, and starting it with, like you should be trying to stall a lot more rather than standing by yourself.
Know what the fuck I'm doing.
So yeah, I mean, this is just one of those things where we probably lose our mind randomly in certain parts of the game that lead to throws happening, and we get really cocky when games go really well. And I do this too. Like you're not going to ever stop it from happening ever, but we've seen in both replays. And you're playing a champion. The difference is too, you're playing champions that can't do this because your champions are late game is what matters. If you're playing an early game stumbling champion, you can a lot of times make the game just so unlosable that even if you throw once or twice, you don't really care. But you can't do that when your champion's pretty much entire buildup is going towards the late game. So you need to just be thinking about, again, what actually matters in the game. What is the real goal? What, again, you said the 18 minutes and the 12 minutes is a bit shorter, but still like the Baron, those are the two things that really matter. And then Soul, those are the three different things that matter. And so what does this decision that you're doing earlier in the game, what is that actually, like, the benefit of that? The benefit is you could potentially get soul. The negatives are that you give a 1k gold shutdown and the enemy are able to scale. And so then if you're stronger and all of your team is in a good position to fight, you should fight, because the benefit's going to outweigh that, because the risk reward, you're probably going to win it anyway. It's going to be good. But you going in solo as the person with the big shutdown and contesting by yourself pretty obviously makes no sense. But I think the reason that you do this relatively frequently is because you're not asking yourself, does this actually matter in like the overall state of the game, and what is the risk reward? So just asking yourself these questions will make it a lot easier to like not make as many of these throws.
Fair.
And we'll write down notes at the end, and I would probably suggest, especially for you, just kind of looking at them at least, say, once before like every session of gaming that you have, and then trying to just keep those in mind. Maybe we can think up some like typical questions you should be asking yourself in terms of like the main things you want to think about when objectives are spawning, or different things. Like really, again, Soul, Baron, Elder, those are the main things to think about. Does me fighting this actually do anything? Where are my teammates in relation to me? What is my job in a team fight? Because your job in a team fight is probably realistically to stack your speed up on a Mundo or Zen, and then maybe land a random E or something to get Lilia or Jinx, or Lulu or Jinx rather, later in the fight. But like, you're not going to be going right away on those squishies unless you see a flash like Q angle. So generally speaking, you're going to be playing these fights more passive and letting your team make more of the decisions. You want me to edit that out, or you don't care?
It's okay. No, you're all good there.
Making sure. But yeah, so like that's really how you need to be kind of understanding the fight. And for example, even here, like it doesn't actually make that much sense to be hovering him, because again, what is the risk reward of this? You kill a champion who's very, very hard to kill anyways. Like you might be able to kill him because you're Lilia, but the difference is everyone on the enemy team is hovering mid lane. Like this is like, look at this, right? Like we can see how close they are to actually being able to potentially kill our teammates. And what happens if we kill Mundo? Nothing, because Jinx can still contest us at Baron with Xin Zhao. It's not like we just get Baron off this. What happens if your teammates die? They get Baron, because those are people who are way more valuable to the fight that would potentially die there. So again, that's why it doesn't really make sense to be going here. And again, also it's way harder to kill Mundo than it is for your Swain or your Orianna to die to all of those people.
For sure.
And then that is looking like what happens.
I don't even think I have anti-heal either, so it's not like I'm even gonna kill him also. I mean, I know that's not even the goal. It shouldn't be the goal. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how you died here even. So you also would obviously know they're going to walk here, because again, they just got to kill in mid. What did we just say? They want to get Baron afterwards. Where are they going to go? To the top side of the map.
Yep.
Very obvious things here. So yeah. And yeah, I mean the good thing about watching this is that it's not even necessarily things that I need to tell you. Like they're relatively straightforward. They're not. You don't have to learn new concepts. You know, you're not going to have a lot of homework to do. You're just going to stop being an idiot. Which is easier said than done. But again, if you're asking yourself these questions and trying to actually think actively in the game, it's not going to be like too difficult for that to happen. And even if it does happen, it's just like more about the awareness, so it doesn't happen frequently. You can think back on, you know, these games when you are in a position where you're up an absurd amount of gold and it seems unwinnable, or unlosable rather, and then you'll just be like, okay, this is what I need to do. And I think it's good as well, because we saw a game where you got really good early game and a game where you were really behind. And those are the two main things. The first thing is you need to understand how to come back in games, which we talked about the main things of those, and we'll write down the notes on that as well as the end. And then this is a game where we really just want to avoid throwing, where the main goal is just only doing things that actually matter, since we do scale so well. But because the enemy scales really well too, you still have to try to keep up the pressure, which would be doing things like still contesting the dragons when it's doable. So if your team was contesting there in a proper position or didn't get caught. But yeah, then I guess we just lose here. So we'll just write some notes out, and then that'll be that. So obviously, if you have questions as well for the notes, or you want me to write additional things as well, just ask as we're writing them.
But yeah.
There's so many autocorrect, like when I'm typing, it just like, cause the league terms, they're not like part of the autocorrect thing, so it's very common. All right, so we'll think about the first game first. The main thing is the early game was fine, so the first real thing to think about is contesting the first objective. So for choice of first objective, so I guess I should write Lilia Shyvana, because it's both of them. But for choice of first objective, typically go towards winning / stronger side, which is more relevant in the second game. The first game, your choice of contesting wasn't too bad, because again, Shyvana does prefer dragons a little more, and they were doing relatively fine. But in the second game, Twitch is extremely weak early game. It's not really going to be valuable to us compared to the enemy, and the Jinx resets can be a lot more scary, whereas we had Camille ultimate, and Mundo's not the scariest early game in those types of fights either. So that's all those. And again, for Lilia especially, you do prefer Herald if we have the luxury of choice. So also just prefer Herald on Lilia if possible. Then again, going back to the Shyvana game, main things for comebacks. So first thing for coming back, I think coming a lot. First thing for comebacks is trade opposite side as much as possible, especially on second dragon spawn. Like that's like the biggest time where you can create a big gold swing, and instead you contested when also one of your teammates wasn't even there. So that's another obvious thing, is just like before deciding to contest, look at teammates location, think about risk reward, and look at your items, because that's another thing as well, which we'll kind of just write more specifically. Like focus on fighting on biggest power spikes, which again for you we kind of identified was 3 items on that Shyvana game, but instead you fought when you were like 2.5 items on or 2 items on the second dragon or whatever. So those types of things as well, kind of playing around. Then what I think those were the main things for Shyvana game. And then there was the random barons where you like got, you know, that baron throw where you just got spotted on vision and didn't think about that. But again, I think that's just more generally just think about win conditions, or like what's actually the point of what you're doing. So just ask yourself more questions as well, like in the game. So I think those are the main things from the Shyvana game. And then the Lilia game was more about like the throws, which again still relate to a lot of these same concepts. Also start red. You don't have to do that, but that's just like what we talked about as well. But yeah.
I think I'm actually gonna start red on her now, because honestly, the full clear faster, it doesn't even matter much, and it is awkward the spawn time of it. On the second.
I mean, like I said, if you really want to contest that for whatever reason, if you look then like specifically in those situations, you can contest Krugs if you really want to contest Scuttle. But otherwise, yeah. And then the Lilia game is still a lot of the same things, just about asking yourself more like specific questions. And then also just like think about like try to envision how a team fight will go before it happens, because like I said, in that Lilia game, you're not going to instantly just get onto their backline by some miracle. So there's no reason for you to be in the front initially. Like letting your team walk up forward first just makes way more sense, because if you are ever able to get on their backline after they get CC, that's going to be way more valuable. You don't really have any engage opportunities or anything that you can really do that's useful in a fight until Xin Zhao goes in, or if Mundo walks forward. So there's no reason for you to be going so far by yourself, like on, I think it was the second dragon, where you went really far up for no reason. So if you're thinking about like, for example, in different scenarios, maybe the enemy have no way to lock you down and you can be a lot more cocky because you have your flash up and you don't really care about what's going on, then in those scenarios you can try to greed and bait things. But in other scenarios you might think, for example, well, they have a Z ultimate and I don't yet have stasis, so I'm not really going to go forward until that's out because I'm the carry, which is another thing, is like be patient in fights when ahead. But really aggro when behind. Like you can use yourself way more as a bait when you're behind, because it doesn't matter as much in terms of the fighting and everything. And then I think the last major thing is when objectives are spawning or about to spawn, don't worry about farm for the most part. And obviously everything I always tell you, it will always be situational. There's some situations where you do need to focus on farm. For example, if you're 150 gold away from your 4th item and you know that that's the only way you're realistically going to carry a fight, then you could in that scenario. But generally speaking, it doesn't really matter if you farm, because again, that happened in the Lilia game where the Herald would have been a lot better, but instead we went to red side because there were some camps there and then ended up contesting the dragon. So yeah, are there any other questions or anything else we talked about that you want written down or anything like that?
No, I don't think so, honestly. I just wanted a second opinion on my gameplay, because I don't really like have many higher rank friends or anything that I can talk to about this type of stuff. So I don't really have any questions. I just wanted some insight.
Yeah, and I do think you understand a lot of the things with the game. like
Oh
generally
no, for
speaking.
sure.
So
I've played MOBAs for a good amount of time.
yeah,
I've played competitively in Paragon. I don't know if you've ever played
I've
Paragon,
heard
but
of it, but I haven't played it.
yeah, good times. But yeah, no, I understand all this. I understand very much these concepts. I think you're right about the autopilot thing. I think I kind of autopilot sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, which is why I think
For
just
sure.
looking at these before you play, like even if again they're pretty obvious, like I have to
Mhm.
remind myself of some very like the best thing for my gameplay has been coaching because when I coach like a gold player and have to explain basic things, then I actually have to think about those, whereas they were just like not in my mind for a long time before that. So